Hey guys, and welcome back to my last week of training and my last comp that I just had. So, as you guys know, the comp may not have gone as good as I wanted. There was some dodgy calls and a couple of other things were going on at the comp. So I ended up having a couple of misses and a couple of muck-ups. So they messed up my safeties on my first attempt and refused to give me a second attempt for it. So I had to wait till my actual second attempt to go up. I went up to 175. I injured my shoulder a bit by this point because when it came down and it hit the safeties, it threw my actual bar path off and allowed my shoulder to rotate slightly out of the socket. I have been rehabbing it this last week and I've still been lifting somewhat heavy, but just being careful and listening to my body as I recover. Ended up missing 185 and you know what? I was fine with that. I sort of gave up on that one. So opened with 320 on deadlift, which was my old comp PR, which moved like it was nothing. Went up to 330 and got given a red light call, which they couldn't explain at first. Now, this upset me because there was no explanation for the red lights until they said it was soft lockout, which it wasn't. I'd had multiple angles. I had front on, side on, and back on. And in every video, there was no soft knee lockout. So I had a dispute with them on that. Went up to 345 because my grip was feeling okay. My thumb was a little bit sore and I had torn a bit of my hand, but I thought I could hold it, which I did. I held it for about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds, which they then decided to give me a late down call, which ended up making it slightly slip from my hand on my left side, which then became a no lift. So after that, decided to get back in. After the short prep I had of about 3-4 weeks, decided to continue on with the next block that would have been on in my normal prep, and started off at a really nice, easy 140 kilos. Now, this moved rapidly for sets of 4, so I went up to 160 for 2 sets of 4 after that, which I was really surprised I got. I did get the niggle on the very last rep in my shoulder, which made it very hard, but I managed to push through without any damage. And after that, I decided to drop down for my 4th set, back down to 140 kilos, which I was happy with how it moved. There was no problem. I even did longer pauses just to work on that pause and the comfortable resting of the weight on my chest. Day 2 of the week was a deadlift and squat rehab day. I am going to be hopefully introducing squats into my next comp because it's slowly starting to get better. I worked up to 340, did 2 sets of 2, and on the 3rd set of 2, my callus just completely came off, so I couldn't hold it whether or not I had straps on, which I then proceeded to drop it down to 300 for a couple of pause reps of 2 sets, pause sets on 2 reps. After this, did what was like a leg press, but it was a squat press machine. This was just to get the motion through my legs after doing some box squats just before this, which I used for my rehab, and this was just to feel the load through my knees again. And this was the last bit of confidence I needed to say, hey, I can now actually start doing normal squats again without boxes, but still going to be mainly doing box squats just because my rehab has not finished. I still do have the knee problems and my back problems, but that's another day. After that, had press the next day, went to a different gym because I had a few appointments, so especially for my knees and my shoulders, and I ended up doing a 120 kilo push press followed by a couple of sets of 90 kilo overhead strict press. Now the reason why I did these in this order was just because I increased my drop set weight from 80 kilos the week before to that. This was the next day, ended up working up to a solid 360 kilo deadlift for 3x1. Now I was really happy with this because this is some of the most volume I've done on this weight, and I got to finish it off with some really nice easy 160 kilo squats just to rehab my knees. I honestly didn't feel any problem with them. It felt really light, but I'm not going to accelerate it too much, especially going on away on a cruise in about 2 weeks. So there's no point in injuring myself anymore. Hope you enjoyed.